Hello everyone, just a quick word from your friendly editor/husband. For all of you who listen to So I'm Watching This Show and own an Android device, do me a favor. Go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android devices. I use the app and love it. I can search for the podcasts I want to listen to, select them as favorites, and have them all just a click away. Make sure you set So I'm Watching the Show as a favorite so you don't miss any new episodes. Again, the app is Podcast Republic, available on your Android device. Thanks!
Boy, did we jump the gun with the wet-ass pussy intro, didn't we?
Yeah, we really did. I actually was kind of thinking of that while we were watching the movie.
Because it's all over these movies. They ended up pairing together rather nicely, I would say.
I think so, too.
It's an education of mermaid vaginas.
Hey, education is perhaps a stretch.
Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your twice weekly pop culture podcast where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. On today's episode, we are going to talk about two things. The first of which is the lure. The lure.
It's a you, man.
Yeah. It is a 2015 Polish horror musical film directed by Agnieszka.
That's probably close, yeah.
It was directed by some Polish people, and it stars them as well. And then the second movie we're going to talk about is the 2019 movie, The Lighthouse. And that is because we already talked about it back in December, and it just never manifested.
That did come out in December. The Lure came out on Christmas Day in Poland.
That feels
I don't understand these movies.
It feels Polish. It feels very...
That does feel like a Polish thing to do, I guess.
It's so funny because I've mentioned several times I'm living with my brother now, and he's not really a movie person, but he understands what we do. And so more often than not, he's like, well, you can put your thing on, don't worry about me. And I was like, I'll wait this time. And he was like, why? And I was like, well... It's a Polish horror musical comedy movie about two mermaids that work at a strip club in the 80s. And
it is the 80s. Okay.
The look on his face, he was like, that is all you. So we were trying to think of something we could do that we could tack on the Lighthouse conversation, because I don't remember our conversation at all. I mean, I know we talked about it, and I think I like it now.
Yeah, I don't remember how we talked about it either.
Yeah, it's one of those that it's like, I don't know how many times I'm honestly going to watch it in my life, but I love that it exists.
Yeah, me too.
So I think I ended up putting it on my year-end list, but well, stay tuned, us included, to find out what we think about this movie. I was aware of this movie when it came out, and I guess that should tell you something about, at the very least, my perception of this mermaid musical horror comedy. That it has so many things that seem like I would have gravitated towards it, and yet I just couldn't bring myself to. I never did. And I've had it in my Amazon cart for like 4 years. And finally, I was like, I just bit the bullet, and I was like, let's just do this. And so I told you were game. We watched it separately. We haven't talked.
Spoilers.
Yeah. What did you think about this movie?
A lot. I liked it, I think, but it's so European in that way that feels inaccessible to me as an American.
And very Eastern.
Very Eastern
very
European.
Eastern European as well.
So there were like parts of it that I really liked. Like there's a whole like the original Little Mermaid type of thing throughout. But the rest of it, I was like, it didn't totally mesh.
Yeah, I did not know it was going to end up being a straightforward adaptation of The Little Mermaid.
Well, half of it was.
Yeah. And I'm at a place where I can't decide if I wish it were two movies or if both of them are what make it interesting. Because it's like,
yeah,
if this were a more straightforward Little Mermaid adaptation, I don't know that it could sustain the runtime of the movie, because this barely did.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think yes, having the two parts together is what makes it interesting, but I don't think it makes it cohesive in any way.
No, and this was not aided by just the fact that, and it was just a necessity of how my timing worked out, but I watched this in 2 sittings.
Okay.
So it really feels like 2 different movies to me.
Yeah.
But I think even if I hadn't, I would still get that vibe.
I think so too. And there's a weird part for me too, because I do feel that even though I was watching it with subtitles, I always feel like there has to be something lost in translation.
But that was working in the movie's favor, in my opinion.
Okay, all right.
Because the movie was so weird, I was like, there must be something.
There must be something I'm missing.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
But it also, I've noticed that it kind of, at least for me, and at least with this movie specifically, it kind of helps aid the weirdness. That it's like they're just, the way that this movie, it was so upfront about its weirdness.
It was.
Like,
yeah.
It was so matter of fact that I just sort of was like, oh, okay. And because I also think that I could have watched this without any subtitles, and I think I would have been in the same place. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was pretty straightforward. I do have like one major concern, and the entire movie hinges on it. But like at the very beginning, that like they're like the band is like a family, right?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't know.
It felt like a family.
Because, yeah, I don't think
they were all living together, too.
Yeah.
And the 2 of them were so much older than the boy.
They never referred to him in Familia, though, because he's like referred to in the cast as the bass player.
Interesting.
I don't think they are. The scene in the middle where they were fighting, I wondered. But because then it begs that weird incest question.
Yeah.
Which I don't think the movie needed or warranted or earned or anything. So I'm just going to say I'm deciding, change of proof.
That they were like a throuple?
A lot of bands are like a family.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'll allow that.
Let's go ahead and actually explain it a little bit, because I don't think a lot of people have watched this movie.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so it starts off about 2 mermaid sisters named Silver and Golden, which was brilliant. I just loved that. And they are trying to make their way to America, but they come on shore in Poland and get wrapped into this like nightclub life, and they just start working at this nightclub. And then Silver falls in love with the bass player, and they're carnivorous. So Golden eats somebody at one point, and that's bad. Oh, they also go shopping. There's like a Splash-esque 80s shopping montage. It's a musical too. Well, yeah, so they're singing the whole goddamn time.
Every single one of these set pieces is set to a piece of music, like an actual song.
Relatively rad music. Like it was, I was feeling it.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I will possibly put this soundtrack on at some point again. Like, I don't know. I was kind of into it, but it also, it wasn't, they weren't super polished songs. It was very strange. And this might have been an example. Sometimes when you're watching a movie and you're kind of like, oh, there was too much. And if they'd stripped it down, then it would have been better. And I think the too muchness is what made this interesting.
Yeah, okay.
I think if there weren't musical numbers, we would have been like, that was a mess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Because quite honestly, I reached a point a little more than halfway through where I was like, I'm genuinely invested. It was strange for me to realize. I thought, oh, I actually want to know how this is going to go, because I couldn't peg it. I did not know how this was going to end. And, you know, spoiler alert. So we get to the point where there's this really interesting character, Triton, who I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Like, because he talked about how one of his horns got taken by a fisherman and then he ripped the other one off. And he has a line towards the end of the movie where, because Silver befriends him, and he explains that if they fall in love with a human and the human does not, you know, fall in love with them back, that they'll turn to sea foam. So that's when I was like, oh, okay, we're going Little Mermaid with this. And he has a line where he's sort of like, he literally uses the word that we're just vacationing here.
Yeah, I liked that too.
It made it very clear that this is a thing that the mermaids do, you know, but Silver falls in love with this dude And
fuck boy, if you will.
Yeah.
He was so cute, though.
He was cute, and I kind of am on his side because he was very upfront with her from the beginning. He was like, you're an animal to me.
Yeah.
And she was like, but no, come touch my fish pussy.
Yeah, he was really not having it. He was not about that life.
So it's like he was very clear with her what he wanted.
Yeah.
But she was very, very committed to this thing. And then he, meets another woman. And I was going to say that, she comes in out of nowhere. There's 10 minutes left. This other woman comes in.
This other woman, yeah.
Yeah, he marries her instead. And I was going to complain about that. And I was like, that's how it's written. That is the story. There was a weird scene towards the end where she has a body transplant. And that was giving me weird, I was like, is this a transgender parable? The vibes were there.
I don't think it was on purpose.
Okay. Was I was thinking very literally about?
Maybe. I think I agree with you that the vibes were there, but I don't think it was on purpose.
But then there was weird gender stuff too, because it's he seemed to be all in once she got the working vagina, but then he was put out by the blood. Yeah, which that felt deliberate.
Because then I was like, well, is she meant to be a virgin? Because first of all, that was too much blood, and then I was like, was it from her midsection
surgical wound? Yeah.
I have no idea. That part was very strange to me. I couldn't tell if he was disgusted or just sad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That whole part was all very, it could have gone either way for me, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the mermaidness of it all. I kind of got a kick out of the fact that them being mermaids was just such a non-issue to everyone.
Yeah.
The people were just very I was going to make a Polak joke and then I just decided not to. But the people were just oh, okay.
Yeah, it works. That's fine.
And I absolutely appreciate anytime that we get something even mildly original when it comes to mermaid stuff.
So that was the thing that I liked the best, is that it was what it was, and it felt like it was what they wanted it to be. And I was like, props, man, you did it.
I'm glad you're happy with your movie.
I didn't hate it. I enjoyed a lot of it, and I thought it was pretty, and it was pretty cool. But I just, that's my largest emotion is I am so happy that you got to do your thing.
Well, okay, I want to finish what I was saying, because I liked their tails were ugly. They were very
like eels.
Yeah, nature looking. Mm-hmm. And it kind of had that Harry Potter vibe where it's North Atlantic mermaids probably wouldn't be all that beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they didn't have fins or flukes. Like you said, it was just kind of to a point. Mm-hmm. And they were really fat. And again, in a very way that was kind of
tubey.
Yeah, in a way that was kind of oh, that's probably, because I remember the first time I really noticed that, because we're sort of, to mention Splash again, we have come of age in a Daryl Hannah's Madison, where she very neatly has the knee joint and the ankles and stuff, even though she's a mermaid, and it really adds to the eroticism of it all.
Yeah.
And then I remember watching The Legendary Adventures of Hercules, and there's a mermaid in one of those episodes, and her tail was sort of like this. It was prettier, it was blue and had flukes, but it was really thick, and you couldn't make out the actress's legs.
Okay.
And it's similar to Aquamarine's tail. We talked about that a couple years ago. But so it's I definitely appreciate that we got to see something different. You cannot claim that.
No, 100%. I meant what I said. They made the movie they wanted to make, and they did it.
I did kind of like when they put the fishnets on the tail.
Yeah, Will mentioned that too, and I was like, yeah, that is a little on the nose.
And I liked the girls. I think they did a really good job of holding it together, because I said, I reached a point where I was very invested in it. I loved, there's 3 scenes where they talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always in a scene with other things happening.
Yeah.
And they're just cerebrally talking to each other. And you can hear all of the ocean noises, whales and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That I was really into. And I think that's ultimately where I'm a little bit flustered, and I'm actually probably going to contradict myself earlier, but I think there were a handful of parts that feel like they were weird for the sake of weirdness. And it's like, had they actually just gone ahead and done a more straightforward story, like the scene with the family, you're right, the scene with the family in the middle, I didn't understand. I didn't understand the fight. I didn't understand him punching the mermaids in the face and then them dumping them in the water like they weren't just gonna come back.
Yeah, so at times, because a lot of the music did move the story forward, so in that sense it was a proper musical, but a couple of times it felt just like a jukebox musical, like maybe these are popular songs in Poland that like vaguely fit but not really, sort of like every time they sing Waterloo in the Mamma Mia movies, and it's just like, I understand what you think is happening, but it is not clear to everyone. And so when they were fighting and that song was happening, I was like, I don't get the context of this at all.
Because I don't think that they were a genetic family, because the implication we got was that the singer was their aunt. And there's even a scene in the middle where she is nursing them and the three of them have tails.
But that was like a fantasy.
It was a fantasy?
She was like, I read that as she was imagining it while the man was trying to have sex with her.
Oh.
Because it cuts, like they were trying to have sex, and then it like cut to that in her head, and then it came back and she was like, why do you smell like fish?
Okay.
That's what I took from that.
I thought that woman was a mermaid, because she also
I thought so too, but then she like never, there was zero confirmation, so I guess it could still be, but I didn't ever, like, she didn't chase after Golden.
That is the other thing I wanted to say, is that we both literally just watched this. I haven't researched it. I haven't, pondered it. So this is like fresh off of the closing credits.
Yeah.
Maybe I wish it was period. Like, I don't know, but.
So it didn't even occur to me that it was not taking place in present day just because it was Eastern Europe. Oh. I was like, that's just how they do in Poland.
Because who was the cop?
See, again, I don't know. It's like, those are all the little things that I was like, something isn't adding up.
Something else is happening here.
Yeah, for me. Yeah.
Because I did read that it was a combination of the director. It was semi-autobiographical on the director's count. And then the screenwriter, it was inspired by two girls he knew growing up. That was weird. And then they used Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid to merge it together. So maybe it is just actually just fuck off weird, and we're giving it too much credit because it is foreign.
I mean, could be. Look,
maybe this is a collection of just like
just bonker stuff. Here's the thing. I had a fun time watching it. I'm glad I finally saw it. It was interesting. It was unique.
I'm glad it goes into my bank that I can compare things to it.
Yeah, no, and like I said, it was exactly what it wanted to be. So I think overall this is a success. I don't think I'll ever watch it again, but I enjoyed it. It was a little gross a couple times.
Yeah, I want to know about the girl who got the mermaid tail.
Well, I don't think she got it. I think she was dead.
Oh, I thought she was like, well, they put the tail on her like they were about to.
Oh, I missed that then.
Yeah. I
don't like that. That for some reason makes me sick.
I might have to watch it again. I don't know. It definitely was interesting. What I was starting to say was it reminded me of that movie we watched a few years ago called Tale of Tales.
Yeah.
Where it was like that one was all new material, but it was like 3 fairy tales in a row.
Sure.
And because we talk about this frequently, but when you get into like actual proper fairy tales, like not the Disneyfied versions, they're strange. Like,
oh yeah,
like leg transplants aren't entirely out of the question.
Sure. Body modification is a thing in Cinderella.
Yeah. So, yes, on a whim.
Yeah. Body modification to get that D.
Yes. It couldn't have been that good. Okay. No. And so, yeah, at the end, Silver does turn to foam, which I kind of liked. And again, he seemed baffled. There were so many points where I was like, are you new here? Like, what?
Have you not known she was a mermaid this entire literal time?
So she turned to sea foam, and then Golden killed him and then just dove into the sea. And that was kind of the end. And it felt sad because it was like, I didn't really care for Golden all that much because she was so aggressive.
Yeah.
But
she was very pretty, though.
Yeah. I don't know. Wow. Weird. Look, Polish horror musical comedy mermaid movie is either in your wheelhouse or it's not. Like, there's no amount of us talking about it that's going to like
that's true.
Push or pull you into this. You're either in it or you're not. So.
Yeah, here are the IMDb plot keywords. First of all, there are 364 plot keywords, and I'm going to just read the ones that are visible. Love triangle, bisexual, vampiric, coming of age, and siren. Do with that what you will.
Yeah. Watch it.
I mean, it's rentable on Amazon. I agree with you. I don't think we can explain it in any further way to make you interested. You either are going to be interested or you're not. Yes. But I think if you're even remotely interested, go for it because it's worth watching for sure.
On this episode, then
then I think you might be into it.
So, okay. Well, from there, I think we're going to transition into our conversation about The Lighthouse.
Awesome.
I've been calling it The Lifeguard all week. I'm glad that I nailed it all 3 times of recording. Yeah, hopefully this transitions because I don't remember how that one goes. So
me neither. We'll see.
Episode.
Hard cut.
Just smash cut. No transition whatsoever. We're just suddenly talking about Robert Pattinson.
Tell me, what's a timberman want with being a wickie?
Just looking to earn a living, just like any man. Starting new.
On the run. Keeping secrets, are you?
No, sir.
Why don't you spill your beans? Why don't you spill your beans? Why don't you spill your beans? How long have we been on this rock? 5 weeks? 2 days? Help me to recollect.
Better pull up Wikipedia. I don't know anybody's name.
I think that's irrelevant.
Yeah, well, for real, I don't know anybody's name.
Well, technically, they're both named Tom.
Yeah, that we know.
Yeah.
What if I just go through the entire thing? You just start talking and I go.
I mean, Will can just put it in the background where it just consistently gets louder and louder and louder till the end, and we're shouting over it.
Oh boy. We don't have plans for this currently. We're recording it for posterity. Is that the word?
Yes.
Not posterity.
No.
Posterity.
Posterity.
There you go. So this could be tacked on to the end of something or the beginning of something, or it could be Patreon or YouTube, or you can put it under your pillow and have pleasant dreams.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you wouldn't, but...
Yeah, I think these dreams would be terrible. Very unsettling.
Well, the movie that we're talking about is The Lighthouse. It is Robert Eggers' second movie. He's only 36.
Shit.
Yeah. He's the director of The Witch. And so he decided he wanted to write a movie about a lighthouse. And that's what he did. So... I don't have a grand plan for this. I'm mostly just excited to kind of talk to you about it.
Okay.
Do you want to start with just flat out, did you like it? And then do we want to do an assessment at first and then get into it, or?
Sure. I can answer that.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea if I liked it. It was very good, but was so much.
It falls into the category for me of why, but I'll go ahead and say that I liked it. This feels like, I feel like if you don't know me, you would like really know me, you would figure I was going to hate it. Mm-hmm. But it had just enough things in my bag that I was like weirdly enthralled by it.
I was definitely enthralled by it.
I can't imagine watching this again, but also I feel like you have to in order to make any sense of it. But is there sense to be made of it, do you think?
I don't know. I am not an educated film person, so it's hard for me to be like, yeah, totally. It means this, that, and the other. There's obviously a lot of imagery. There's a lot going on in this movie. And I think a lot
of it is very symbolism 101. So there's a part of me where I'm like, is it that? I mean, is this about sex the way that it feels like it is? You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, some for sure.
Yeah. Because I mean, mermaids, seagulls, all of that, that's very basic stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, that this falls into the category of why I don't know if there was a goal. I don't know if he, because I hear that he wrote this with his brother?
Yes.
Robert and Max Eggers. I don't know the point of this. I don't know what you do something like this going in, what you're thinking and what you were aiming to achieve. And so in that regard, like you said, it was exquisitely done across the board, but I don't really know what was accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I'm not 100% sure either. I'm having a hard time getting my feelings together.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I certainly wasn't bored. It was very aesthetically pleasing because it was
a time or two it threatened it threatened you with boredom, at least for me. There was a time or two that I was not.
I mean, I am physically tired currently, so I was like yawning, but no, I don't know. It was, to me, it's very aesthetically pleasing too. It's all black and white. The lighting was really interesting, so it made Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson look almost unidentifiable as who they are. Mm-hmm. I was interested the whole time. Mm-hmm. And I will say they did not bone each other that we saw. So that was a bummer.
Well, I was going to say, if we want to go into spoiler stuff, that for me was the elephant in the room. And I'm going to have a hard time explaining why. But I found this to be very erotically charged.
Yeah, for sure.
And okay, so I'm not a weirdo in that.
Of course not.
Okay. Not in this movie, but just in a general sense. And I don't know why or how to explain it, but I actually think Willem Dafoe is really sexy.
Also, yes, okay, you're not alone.
Okay. No. I think some people, our numbers just dropped in half. But it's like him and William H. Macy, and there's a couple of them that in under a certain circumstance, I'm like, yeah. Like watching Shameless sometimes, I'm like, meh, might as well. Like
there's like many circumstances for me with Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, and so
there's like more circumstances than there's not.
Okay. And also, I mean, when he's slightly younger, if I'm going, like if I'm preferring it, I mean, this movie overall seemed like it smelled really bad.
Yeah, it just overall smells like the color brown.
Yeah. Robert Pattinson says the word jism, which I don't think I've heard since I was 14.
Not in a minute. Yeah, not in a minute.
It was kind of like being punched. I was like,
oh. Yeah.
That was but one of several words he said in a stretch.
in one long string of expletives directed at Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, there were a handful of breathtaking monologues. And so we're jumping all over the place, but that's what we do. And this is the kind of movie. So when I was driving over there with Will, because we rode together, he said something where he was like, this feels like it's very much a film person's movie. Like it's a movie for people who like movies. And that's the best I can come up with. I can't imagine any other audience that would really be going to this or like this isn't going to play on planes. Do you know what I mean?
No, correct. And I feel like there also were a couple of like normals in the theater that like didn't know what they got into.
Yeah, I got that feeling. It was more crowded than I was anticipated being.
Yeah.
But in many ways, it felt very old. Like it felt like an old movie.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was part of how it was shot, where it was sort of like the aspect ratio and how it was square.
And so I think in that sense, it was really interesting. The performances were excellent. The directing, the cinematography, if I know anything, I know cinematography. It was remarkable. That was a joke because I was talking about how I didn't know what cinematography was earlier. I kind of did. I was overshooting it.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought cinematography was like scope, like vistas of nature. And Will was like, yeah, well, easy cinematography is.
Yeah, that's like really easy to do.
All of that was really good. As far as plot goes, as we've mentioned, it's basically Robert Pattinson is...
It's like a rookie lighthouse keeper.
Like a rookie sailor. And he's taking this job. So Willem Dafoe lives on the lighthouse?
Well...
On the Cursed Rock?
Not really. That part was like a slightly confusing to me because Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, it seemed like, showed up together to relieve the people that were already there.
That's what I was thinking.
But I think Willem Dafoe is there more than anyone.
Okay. And it's like every month they cycle through and they are keeping a lighthouse that is presumably well out at sea. And the lighthouse obviously is warning ships that there's a big fucking rock there. And Robert Pattinson, as you said, is a rookie because, and this is again spoiler territory, and I guess this is what it's about, but he's like trying to start a new life because he watched someone die that he wanted to kill but didn't, and therefore was in trouble.
I don't even know if it was as deep as that, but basically I think he had been sort of like a grifter in a sense, and he was working with a logging operation in New England, and he did have the opportunity to save the man from going under the log jam, and he didn't and let him die, basically get drowned and crushed by the logs. And
so those are the logs in the body that he sees in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, and then he assumed that man's identity.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that part I got lost.
So that was Ephraim. What was the last name?
Winslow?
Yeah, Winslow. Yeah.
Okay. This was a salty dog of a movie. So all three of us were like, if we were to watch it again, we would need subtitles because they were gargling the dialogue and there was a lot of it to gargoyle.
So that was something interesting. I was reading the trivia before we sat down, and let's see. For dialogue inspiration, the Eggers brothers read the works of Melville, Stevenson, and Moore, consulting 19th century slang and nautical dictionaries for concise jargon. Willem Dafoe's character is prone to articulate soliloquies in the style of Shakespeare and Milton. For naturalistic dialogue, the Eggers brothers turned to the works of Sarah Orne Jewett, a Maine-based poet and novelist best known for her work set on the eastern seaboard, including Tales of New England, Strangers of the Wayfarers. And then there was another one where he was very specific about how each of them spoke, where like Willem Dafoe is definitely like an eastern seaboard sailor. And apparently Robert Pattinson's character is from like a very, very specific Maine farming location. They were really, he was apparently super specific.
I said he sounded like Mayor Quimby from The Simpsons.
I don't disagree.
But so the plot is that Willem Dafoe does the night shift and he has some like weird, I guess, because we don't know. I don't know what's real and what's not. But as it's presented, he has some sunshine-esque obsession.
I was going to say sunshine.
Yeah, it's like this love affair with this lighthouse. Yeah. And Robert Pattinson has to do like all the like grunt work and stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes crazy?
I guess. Because, okay, that's the other thing, is there was a lot of circular talk.
Yeah.
Later in the movie where, like, Robert Pattinson would be, like, explaining or, like, you know, like, being concerned about something crazy that was happening. And Willem Dafoe would be like, that didn't happen. We've how long do you think we've been here?
Mm-hmm.
5 days, 2 hours, 6 weeks? And I'm just like, what are you trying to do to this boy?
Because at one point it was like, we're leaving tomorrow and there's a storm. And then like the next day he's like, that was 4 weeks ago.
Exactly. And so I'm like, was he trying to make him crazy? Like, what exactly was the end game for everybody? And then part of me was like, are they the same person? Like, what's going on?
That has to be, and it's rather pedestrian of me, but that has to be my complaint if there is one. It's not a complaint, but I was under the assumption that there was going to be a reveal, and there just really wasn't.
Yeah.
It just kind of spiraled into insanity and then ended.
Well, I think the biggest sort of like twisty reveal, it is super spoilery, and it's very similar to the last shot of The Witch also, where Robert Pattinson is in this tableau of Prometheus.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's very weird and interesting. Is it because he so desperately wanted the light?
Yeah,
the fire in the lighthouse?
Yeah, which is original sin. It's like the Greek version of the fruit of knowledge.
So then it's exactly like the last shot of The Witch.
I guess artists return to the same well a lot of times.
He loves a theme, apparently, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, because from a logistical perspective, I was trying to figure out how Robert Pattinson got there. Because he was like in the lighthouse and fell down to the bottom. And then in the very next shot, he's naked outside being eaten alive by seagulls. And it's also simultaneously as bad and also not as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, it's that's the thing is like, I would have a hard time telling anyone that I think they would like this movie, because I think it's one of those types of movies that you would literally never know if someone was going to like it or not. You just kind of have to experience it. But I would tell everybody that it's excellent and that I don't think they'd be sorry for having seen it.
Mm-hmm. It dealt with a lot of themes. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and ask this, but I mean, is the mermaid just sex? Is that all there is?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
He did have something in an interview about that as well, about the design of the mermaid specifically.
Well, she was a proper mermaid because she had a vagina, because there's this myth in pop culture that mermaids lay eggs. And I'm like, they have belly buttons, they're mammals,
Well, so that's what it says.
We see the vagina.
We do, and it was based on a shark labia, apparently. So it says the mermaid on the Starbucks cup that has two tails is based on early mermaid design. Medieval and Renaissance mermaids were always split so that these anima figures of male fantasy could perform their role that had been unfairly thrust upon them by their male imaginers. But no surprise that in the Victorian era, they closed the mermaids up and made them impenetrable. So that single tail mermaid silhouette has become the archetypal mermaid look for people today. And also what a mermaid would have looked like in the period of the movie, but we still had to figure out how mermaids can copulate and create more mermaids, so we studied shark genitals. I just imagine the search histories and the watch lists that some of these Hollywood writers are on, because it's just like, realistic shark genitals. Can you imagine just having that in your history?
Sure, that would be weird. And that's not even really a bit, because I had to Google cat penises when the Cats trailer came out.
Yep, that's right.
Because I wanted to know what it looked like. Don't do it. That's another thing that's weird to me, is how many, because we're mammals. You would think a lot of it would be the same, and it's just not.
Nope.
But regardless, that's enough talk about cat penises. The one thing that doesn't actually factor into this movie.
I know, right?
I'm going to go ahead and say it, because we obviously thought so. And I think several people have commented on this, but there is a very strange homoeroticism in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the movie might have succeeded I think they should have gone there.
Yeah,
more than they did.
I don't know.
And I don't think that's just my desire. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure they should have gone all the way there. Like, I don't think we needed to see it, but I think we could have had some more implication.
Yeah, it was very odd. And it feels like, considering how odd this movie is, that's a weird line to draw.
They did very almost kiss.
Yeah. It
would have been fine if they kissed.
It was very psychosexual, and I feel like I have more to say, and not unlike the movie, I feel like I'm kind of talking in circles, which, I mean, not quite. We've only been, 17 minutes, but I'm still trying to find meaning in it, and I guess it's not really. I mean, is the moral just that they went crazy?
I mean, yeah, I feel like cabin fever, you know, they started drinking kerosene at one point.
Okay, I thought so.
Like lamp oil, whatever lamp oil. And I just was, but like maybe mixed with honey. I was like, what are you doing?
I thought they were trying to, because they ran out. And so I thought it was like some, prison toilet sangria shit.
Yeah, but I don't think they had time to like ferment it. That was just like straight up kerosene with something sticky mixed in.
Yeah, I don't know. Because you do weird shit when you're consuming that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's like they're cabin fever. They can't leave. No one's coming to get them. They've drunk all the alcohol.
Why was no one coming to get them?
Well, so it felt like it implied that someone was meant to get them the day after the night they first got drunk together.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of them suggested that they had slept through the like people coming. And I was like, okay, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And then the storm came and like
apparently lasted for 4 weeks.
Yeah, didn't. Well, that's where it gets really iffy because I think Willem Dafoe was fucking with him.
Okay.
I don't think the storm was really for 4 weeks. That feels unlikely. Though I don't know what happens out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, I was in a very so what's the truth place. Because,
right, yeah.
Because, I mean, we literally see Robert Pattinson trying to escape on the boat, and Willem Dafoe runs out with an axe and starts hacking the boat.
Yeah.
And then he chases him back into the house, and Willem Dafoe was like, you just chased me with an axe and hacked up our boat. And I was like, so what's the truth?
Yeah, agreed. Very that Oprah meme.
And, I mean, you could also say, I guess, because Robert Pattinson, I mean, maybe we're in a place where we're meant to identify more with Robert Pattinson. And so maybe he was crazy because he had a real short fuse with that seagull that
he really did
killed. And after Willem Dafoe explicitly explained to him that it was bad luck and why.
Yeah, bad luck to kill a seabird.
I guess when all this stuff started happening.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
Weird movie.
Yeah,
I recommend
it. I weirdly, it had enough of my like Stefan style, words.
Yeah.
Where I was, like mermaids and seagulls and Willem Dafoe pup play and like
and like multiple masturbatory scenes.
Oh yeah, furiously masturbating. Like
to like an ivory carving of a mermaid.
Yeah, but like road rash. Like and Willem Dafoe was Poseidon a few times to the point where I was like, is he? Like
well, so that's I did one of the spoiler trivia said the two lead characters, according to Robert Eggers, represent figures in Greek mythology. Willem Dafoe represents Proteus, an old prophetic sea god who was called the Old Man of the Sea. And Robert Pattinson represents Prometheus, a titan and trickster figure who defies the gods by stealing fire.
Well, yeah.
So,
okay. Because we called the Prometheus thing in the theater.
Yeah.
So that is true.
Evidently, yes.
Or true. There's no such thing as true as this, but...
it was intentional.
The Proteus reference because he was reciting that monologue or soliloquy or whatever from Penny Dreadful.
Yeah.
Because remember the first creature's name was Proteus and Penny Dreadful, so I caught that too. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like, this feels like one of those movies that I would have hated, that I would have had like nothing to say, but it had enough like triggers. I do honestly feel robbed of like a gratuitous nudity shot or something. We got close a few times, but
yeah, I feel like when we've got lady nipples and mermaid vagina, Robert Pattinson could get his dick out. You know what I mean? Get your dick out.
We needed some foreskin in this.
We've seen Willem Dafoe's dick before too. Get your dick out, Willem Dafoe.
Swing it around. It's the Gong Show. I don't know. It was cool. It was neat.
Yeah. I'm definitely glad I saw it, for sure.
Go see it if you're even remotely inclined. Interesting, cool. I liked it.
Yeah,
there should have been a trident in this.
Ooh, yeah.
In the scene where
there was an axe and a shovel and
where Robert Pattinson found the body, but then it was him, and then he was looking at himself, and then Willem Dafoe was naked.
Yeah.
It was cool, but I don't know. So yeah, I'm game. I'll see maybe what comes after this, depending on what it is. Us was to Get Out. This is To the Witch, I feel like.
Yeah, because it's like still good, but it's not what I was anticipating.
Well, and The Witch is graspable in a way where this was over, and I was like, so
what?
Huh?
But why?
So. Okay, cool. Well, on to the next one.
Okay, well, as always...
Or no, it's more of a...
Yeah, it's got to be more like a foghorn kind of a situation.
I thought the lighthouse was making the noise at first.
No, there's like a horn, like an actual horn. All right,
well... but it wasn't the score.
Well, it was, but it's to mimic a foghorn, which also are with lighthouses.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well... If you're done making noise, you can follow us on Twitter @So I'm Watching, Instagram @So I'm Watching This Show. We're also on Facebook and Tumblr, So I'm Watching This Show. Nothing to speak of for the Spotify playlist this week, unless you want to just put a handful of sea shanties. And then other than that, you can rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. And that's it for us. Bye.